events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, coming to you live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, China's foreign ministers told a meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization that the One China principle remains at the center of China's core interests. Several European nations, including Ireland and Spain, have announced plans to formally recognize the Palestinian state, and China's marking the International Day for Biodiversity. In business, the Science and Technology Expo in Macau. In sports, China's roster for the 2026 FIFA World Cup Asian qualifiers. In culture and entertainment, China's helping to promote Nepal's tea culture and tourism. Now checking the day's top stories. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has reiterated that the Taiwan question is at the center of China's core interests. He made the remarks while addressing a meeting of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in Astana. Wang said Taiwan independence activities are the most destructive element of peace across the Taiwan Strait. He expressed appreciation for the SCO member states for firmly adhering to the One China principle. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has urged countries and politicians to stop political manipulation of the Taiwan question.
我们坚决反对建交国与中国台湾地区进行任何形式的官方往来。
China strongly opposes official interaction of any form between the Taiwan region and countries that have diplomatic relations with China. This position is consistent and clear. The wrongful words and actions of a handful of countries and political figures violate the One China principles and basic norms governing international relations, constitute blatant interference in China's internal affairs, undermine the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of China, and damage the peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait.
Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin said that to use Taiwan to contain China is to play with fire and will definitely backfire. He said China will take all necessary measures to firmly safeguard its interests. Many countries and international organizations have reiterated commitment to the One China principle. Xi Zhi has details.
The Russian Foreign Ministry reaffirms Moscow's recognition of Taiwan as an inalienable part of China. It says Washington and other countries are escalating tensions in the Taiwan Strait, undermining the stability and security of the Asia-Pacific region. UN agencies and international organizations in Geneva have reaffirmed adherence to Resolution 2758 of the UN General Assembly and firmly support the One China principle. The Honduran Foreign Ministry has issued a statement saying that President Xiomara Castro and the government reaffirmed their adherence to the One China principle, which is recognized by more than 180 countries. Nauru says the resumption of diplomatic ties with China asserts the One China principle. It says it supports all efforts by the Chinese government to realize national reunification. Bulgaria, Ethiopia, Botswana, Laos, Pakistan, and Venezuela have all expressed their support.
That's Xi Zhi reporting. The South Center, an intergovernmental organization of developing nations, stressed that Taiwan's an inalienable part of China's territory, and the government of the People's Republic of China is the sole legal government representing the country. The center said it opposes any form of Taiwan independence and fully supports the peaceful reunification of China. Foreign ministers from member nations of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization have met in Kazakhstan. They discussed preparations for the upcoming ASEAN Astana Summit in July. Ravinder Bauer has the latest from the Kazakh capital.
The Shanghai Cooperation Organization foreign ministers began their meeting by observing a minute's silence to pay respect to the Iranian president and other officials who died in a helicopter crash on Sunday. In his opening remarks, the Foreign Minister of Kazakhstan underlined the effectiveness of SCO in multidisciplinary interaction. In this meeting, the leaders stressed upon the importance of strengthening the status of the SCO as an influential group in the New World Order. They finalized the draft of a joint communique to be released by the heads of state at the Astana Summit.
Thanks to collaborative work, we have successfully held about 100 events, and we intend to significantly strengthen the legal framework of the SCO. The list of documents for the Astana summit already includes more than 20 in areas such as economy, safety, and environmental protection.
The meeting of the SCO heads of state will be held in the first week of July in an expanded SCO Plus format with the participation of members, observer states, partners, and the UN Secretary General. Over the last 2 decades, SCO has become one of the largest multilateral structures in the world. Today, with its expanding membership and ambitious goals, the organization faces a challenge of establishing greater global influence.
That was Ravinder Bauer reporting from the Kazakh capital. Coming up, Ireland, Spain, and many other European nations plan to formally recognize Palestinian statehood.
Dive into news like never before with Deep Dive, the podcast from CGTN Radio. Join our global reporters for captivating stories and thought-provoking conversations. Search Deep Dive on your favorite podcast platforms. So get ready to dive in.
That's 7 minutes past the hour. Ireland, Norway, and Spain have announced plans to recognize Palestine as a state. European Union members Ireland, Spain, Slovenia, and Malta have indicated in recent weeks they plan to make the recognition. They said a two-state solution is essential for peace in the Middle East. 3/4 of the world's countries already recognize Palestine. Israel's responded by recalling its envoys from Ireland and Norway, citing urgent consultations. Israel's foreign ministry has said the recognition would lead to instability in the region. The UN General Assembly earlier this month adopted a resolution supporting the Palestinian bid to become a full UN member by recognizing that it's less qualified to join and recommending that the Security Council reconsider the matter favorably. The Israeli army stepped up attacks on the Gaza Strip. In the north, strikes from Israeli tanks and missiles destroyed residential areas in Jabalia. In the south, Palestinian health officials said airstrikes killed 3 children in a house in Khan Yunis and at least 5 people, including 3 children, in a home in Rafah. Israeli forces have raided the West Bank city of Jenin on Tuesday, killing 7. UNRWA said on Tuesday that food distribution in Rafah is currently suspended due to a lack of supplies. The WHO chief also called for Israel to lift restrictions on aid into Gaza, saying that the primary pipeline for emergency medical aid into Gaza from Egypt has been cut off. Akram Al-Satari has more from Gaza.
The attacks are continuous in the Gaza Strip. They're targeting different parts of the Gaza Strip, and every single airstrike or every single artillery fire or every single quadcopter attack marks the continuation and the expansion of the ground operation that is taking place in Rafah. More people are killed, more people are injured, more infrastructures are destroyed, and more is expected to take place as long as the Israeli President speak about expansion and the approval of that expansion, and about they being mobilizing all the tanks and armored vehicles and also the Air Force towards attacking Rafah, attacking Gaza, and achieving the military goals that they have been talking about for the last 7 or 8 months.
That was Akram Al-Satari reporting on the situation in Gaza. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has led prayers in Iran for the victims of the helicopter crash over the weekend. President Ibrahim Raisi, Foreign Minister Hussein Amir Abdullahian, and 6 others were killed in the accident. The charred wreckage of the helicopter was found early on Monday after an overnight search in blizzard conditions. Iranian authorities say weather conditions were good when the helicopter took off, but it lost contact after encountering a cluster of clouds. The country is observing 5 days of mourning. World leaders have sent condolences, and the UN flag has been lowered to half-staff to mark the death of Raisi. The British government says victims of the infected blood scandal will start receiving final compensation payments this year. This comes a day after the publication of a report that found civil servants and doctors exposed patients to unacceptable risk by giving them blood transfusions or blood products tainted with HIV or hepatitis from the 1970s to the early 90s. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has issued an apology and promised compensation for everyone affected. Yolo Abdefid has more from London.
The details that were said in Parliament by a minister from the government didn't actually give a figure, but it's thought to be around $12 to $13 billion. Whether it will be as much, maybe it'll be more. But what will be interesting is how soon, how quickly the government and civil service and the National Health Service can move to try and now mitigate this by civil service, by the National Health Service, as well as politicians and countless health ministers in various governments. So whether indeed they can assess people and families individually to make out and try and organise before the end of the year how much can be paid to certain people. There are interim payments in the meantime, and some of them are $250,000, $260,000, but these are interim payments, not the final payments. So it depends how quickly we can go. And just to recap on this infected globe, what it meant. From the 1970s onwards, blood transfusion and plasma were given to people across the globe, including here in Britain, which had been infected with hepatitis and later with HIV, which led to AIDS. And there was a complacency, and I think that came out quickly and quite comprehensively when this report was published. All 2,500 pages of it, 7 volumes of a report that had been worked on for the last 6 years. The UK doesn't move quickly, so I think it depends how quickly these compensation payouts can be made, especially given the obfuscation, the dishonesty, the cover-up, and that's what I think people will be really looking at.
Oh, it's Yolo Abdethid reporting. More than 140 passengers and crew from a Singapore Airlines plane hit by deadly turbulence have finally reached Singapore on a relief flight. The flight from London to Singapore on a Boeing jet with over 200 people on board was forced to divert to Bangkok after experiencing severe turbulence. A 73-year-old British passenger died of a suspected heart attack. At least